Ange, what's up, brother?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure, man.
Appreciate you. So you look tan. You got your Hawaiian shirt on. You
Florida.
was it Florida or a tan in bed?
Combination of both.
Combination.
Yeah. I always got to keep the color.
That's right.
know?
Yeah, you gotta keep that up for your good looks there. And see you in the gym doing your little
My little stuff.
your little exercise bike, whatever you do. You're walking. When I used to Vegas days, when we go down and see you in the gym at 7 a.m. coming off from a big night or whatever.
Those were exciting times.
How's everything going?
I really can't complain. It's been great. Work wise, amazing. Family wise, even better.
That's awesome to hear.
And it's really about people and communication. I think that's really my strong suit, and something that we've really been focusing on a lot. And one of the things I really appreciate is friendship. Now we're going to be doing this podcast. A lot of people don't know me and you are amazing friends.
Oh, without doubt, a long time.
Can't wait to tell a couple stories about that.
It'd be funny. So let's start with this, though, all right? Because let's talk about you. Let's start with where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Valley Stream.
Yep. You and Billy grew up. Who's older, you or Billy?
My brother's actually a year and 10 months older than me.
Okay.
No one would think that. Everyone always thinks I'm
I do
older
too.
than him.
Yeah, I actually know you're older, but
Yeah.
I mean he's older. But
Yeah.
when I first met you, I thought he was the older one. I guess he's the more mature guy in the.
He actually wasn't the more mature guy. My brother's a great guy, but after college, we called him the general because he went to college for about 10 years.
That's right.
And I went to St. John's for 2, and then I just jumped into work, and I never really looked
But
back.
you went to Valley Stream.
I went to Valley
You
Stream.
graduated high school out of there.
I did, yeah.
Then went to St. John's.
Yep.
What'd you study?
Counting.
Accounting. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I can't picture that. That must have been boring as hell.
I love numbers, right? So I thought accounting would be something I really excelled in. I did that for the first year, and then the stock thing was really big back then.
Yep.
A lot of my friends were working in stock brokerage and stuff like that.
Did you go down the same thing that I did with the whole?
Stocks?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
You went down the real way or the
I went down the way that really taught me how to telemarket, be aggressive, and
same
work
way as
hard.
me? Yep.
And when you graduated 4 years at St. John's, an accountant was making $32,000 a year.
Insane.
When you think about that. And my friends were doing the stocks, and a couple of them were doing really well at it. So in
Very
the
well, some of
summer,
them were.
when you got that 2.5-month break, I said to my mom, hey, listen, let me jump in there. Let me see how it goes. And I worked really hard at it, and I made almost $32,000 within that small time frame of being a telemarketer, being a cold caller, opening up 20 accounts, passing my Series 7. And
You got the 63 also then, right?
60,
Because I had to get both of
63
them.
as well. And then I kind of went with that, and I did college part-time.
And did you stay in the accounting field?
I didn't.
When you went back, like what you?
I finished my 2 years, and then after that, I just went really into work.
Did you get an associate's?
I
or
did get an associate's.
So you applied for the associates and.
Yeah, and then that's really it. That was really my college career. But what it taught me was hard work and hustle is really what made the difference.
Sure.
And the stockbroker days, there's a lot of negatives to it, but the positives were
You learned a lot,
everyone dressed up to go to work.
That's right.
They were there super early.
Nice cars.
Their cubicles were really small.
Yeah.
And everyone really pushed the work ethic, the scripts, and really mastering your craft.
Yeah.
Good,
I
bad, or
remember closing
indifferent.
your door in your office. You used to get under your desk. Remember that?
That was kind of crazy.
Talk on the phone because there was so many people talking back then. But
I only had good experiences. I only
Sometimes.
did stocks for 2 years.
I loved it too.
And we did this IPO, and we made, I made some good money.
Yeah.
Especially when I was only 19. I started stock 17.
Okay.
And then I was 19, 20.
So what year was that?
It was back in 92.
Okay. Because I came later.
Yeah.
So I did stocks the way you're talking about it in 89 to 90. Then I became a police officer because I didn't get jammed up with the whole. But then they got jammed up again, and I think that was in 2000. With the 2001, 2000, was that?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
That was the dot-com boom.
Yep.
Were you part of that too, or did you
Not really. I did it 2 years, and it wasn't really my thing. All right, we were just talking money. We were just talking about stocks, and it was really either you made the people money or you didn't. I wasn't really fulfilled doing that.
Yep.
My dad, he came from Greece, and he was a painter, and he owned a paint, lumber, and hardware store. And every morning he would wake up super early to go to work. And I really liked what he did because he was talking to people that I really related to more. When I was talking to the clients on the phone, it was like, hey, did we make money? Did we not? There wasn't really a relationship there. It was either
Correct.
I did a good job or not. So the one negative thing I did was I sold my
book.
I didn't sell my book. I didn't sell it.
Oh, you didn't
I didn't
sell
even know I could sell the book because that's how uneducated I was.
Did you have a book?
I did have a book. You know,
Did you really?
I had a really good book. We did an IPO. I was third in the company.
Oh, wow.
And I just gave my book to my friend, Vasilios, and he made a lot of money off that book years down the line.
God bless him.
But when I left, everything was great in the business. You know, none of the stocks went down. So I never really saw the negative side of the stock market back then, but I only appreciated the, you know, the work ethic and everything. And then what I did was I jumped into my dad's paint, lumber, and hardware store.
That must have been a change.
You know, it was good because he needed a little bit of help. And what he'd always say is, I work with all these contractors, but they don't have a lot of money, or I don't know how to give them credit. So it was before Home Depot was really around. So what I did was I picked up his 20 best accounts. I sat down with each one of them, and I was good with numbers, so I would look at their financials and everything. And then we personally approved them for like $100,000 line of credit, $50,000 through the business. So they would come in, and they really didn't have to pay for like 6 months.
Oh, nice.
And because of that, we sold so much more product.
Wow.
And what I was able to do then, I was able to meet a lot of the contractors. I was able to meet the people that were building the houses, the homeowners and stuff. And I really liked it a lot.
Okay.
You know, and then I was with my wife a long time. And we were
Where'd you
gonna,
meet the bread?
1 year out of high school.
Oh, out of high school.
Yeah, we were there a long time.
You graduated high school?
91.
91. Yeah, so you're a little younger than me.
Yeah.
I'm with Diana since 88.
Wow.
So I got 3 years on you. 3 years of, some people call it misery. I call it the best years of my life.
Best years of your life.
Yeah. So
the interesting point on that was...
you believe that? So,
I think with work was I always had to be out in the field looking at projects. And it just happened to be the coldest 3 months, winter there was. And I was just getting to a point where it was like, wow, why am I always in the cold? Why am I always going to these projects? And when I started working with the builders, their clients needed financing. So I had a friend that was in the mortgage business.
that's how you got into it?
That's how I got into it, right? So I had a friend that was in the mortgage business, and he kept saying to me, look, if some clients need 25, 50, 100,000, give me the deal and I'll get them funded. So now I started moving a lot of clients that didn't have the funds for my contractors to this mortgage company, and they were getting funded for $25, $50, $100,000 projects. And
so what were they doing, line of credits? Or?
They were just doing no doc
Refinance?
second mortgages,
No doc second mortgages.
and they were closing within a week.
Wow.
So it was really cool, and they were getting rates, between 9 and 12%. But
That's back
back in the
then.
time, it was cool, and I really liked that transaction. So one day the owner came to me and goes, you're one of my best referral partners. I go, I don't even know what that means. He's like, yeah, you firm me so much business. Why don't you come work for me? So I started talking to my dad and my mom, and I said, listen, I really love numbers. I really love the transactions. Let me go jump in there, see how it goes. And ever since then, mortgages have been my life.
That's insane. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I know you a long time. I know the story with Dad and all that, but I never realized that's. I think I remember you telling me this at breakfast once, but we never went that deep into what company was that?
The company started was BLS funding back in the day. Now the interesting part, we talk about it a lot. It's timing.
Yep.
When I went into the stocks, my timing was impeccable, and I left at the right time.
That's right.
When I went into home improvements, my timing was impeccable. My dad still owns the building, but when Home Depot came, a lot of the mom and pops really got hurt.
Were you able to sell to them because of what you did? Or
Well, you know what we did? We actually sold the business. You know this privately, but my dad got cancer during that time, and he couldn't really work the business anymore. So we ended up selling it. So when he sold the business, we sold it to a couple of our friends and stuff like that, and we hung around a little bit. But if my dad didn't buy a lot of property, he really wouldn't have had a lot of money.
That's interesting.
You
but
know,
that's, yeah.
and the best thing he ever did was buy all those properties because he said one thing that really stuck to me. When you're in a position of power or people need you, they're always going to come to you. But when you move down from that position, you're going to really see who your true friends are.
Right.
And the reality of them, a lot of them aren't your true friends.
Scary, right?
It's scary. So they're really business accomplishments. And my dad really just had one motto. No one ever gives you anything. You have to work for everything. My dad would come in at 6 a.m. He wouldn't come home till 9 a.m. at night. And we told you the story, but it's a really important story to tell, is you never understand someone until you're in their shoes.
Sure.
So as a kid, I loved soccer. Me and my brother played all the time, but my dad never came to any of the soccer games. And as a kid, I always said, does my dad even love me?
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing? And the reality was, not only did he love me, he sacrificed his life for me because he was getting up at 6, he was working till 8 at night so we could have everything we had.
You could play soccer.
Yeah, so I could play soccer and everything else. And when I saw that, you know, that work ethic was instilled in me. And even with my son, AJ, you know, he's 16 years old, he's working. You know, no handouts. Everyone's got to work. Everyone's got to earn their share. And it really taught me that you have to bet on yourself.
Yep.
You bet on yourself all the time.
We all do, yeah.
And because you bet on yourself, see where you are.
So it's a great lesson to learn, too.
Yeah.
Similar to me.
Yeah.
Similar thing to me. It's just that, you know, my father didn't buy buildings.
Right.
He gambled them. So, but it is what it is. But, you know, but again, he was a hard worker because, again, you know, I can't sit there and say I didn't have shoes, I didn't have this, I didn't have that. I had one cat on the show, crazy, where I said, I have no right to bitch at anything. Listen to this kid's story. This kid grew, like when he came, they lived in a studio apartment with like 15 people. And I'm not exaggerating. This is, you know, and the kid, how he finally got out, they were excited, ended up getting back into it, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward to today, the kid's happily married, and he owns something like 100 doors.
Wow.
He went out there and purchased, and I asked him, would he do it over? And he said, you know, honestly, yes. He said I would because I would rather have it easier. But I learned a lot, and those lessons learned, you know, got me to the drive that I have. And then the funny thing was, at the end of it, I was going to put him in touch with another cat that I know. Alon, his name is. I don't know if you know him. He owns a bunch of commercial properties, and I was going to link them up. So I get his number from Julia, and I called him the next day. And the funny thing is, he saw him on my podcast, I guess, from the messages that were going out, and he ended up. I was going to refer him to one of his best friends and his mentor in the business, and the other kid's like 29 years old, and he's worth over. I don't want to say what his worth is, but from what it looks like, $250 million,
Wow.
$250 million. This kid's worth, and he started from just scratch, buying commercial properties and residential properties, and you know, obviously there's a lot of jealousy out there. I'm one of those guys to say, hey, you know, he beat me on one, and I was pissed, but it was like, hey, God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless you. You won. You won fair and square and everything it is, and you know, I beat him on the other one.
Right.
And then now we're talking of combining the two, but it's interesting that, you know, a lot of people say this day and age, a lot of the kids don't hustle, and there's two of them right there that are, you know, on their way to, you know, great things, be billionaires. This one kid's his goal is to have 25 million, where he's liquid with 25 million by the time he hits 30. So, you know, you're listening to that. That's pretty cool what you're hearing out there to driving kids, and
it's really
similar to
awesome
us.
in regards to that. And you know, money for me was a really big driving factor for a long time.
Was it really?
It was. It was.
Okay.
And it was in a way where that's the way I thought of success in the beginning.
Okay.
I thought the harder I worked, the more money I made. I'm doing good. And the reason why it was like that, my dad used to tell me stories when he was a kid, and they had no electricity where he grew up in Greece.
Yeah.
They lived in a room this size. There was 6 of them, and all they would do was fish. They didn't even go to school. And he always instilled, I need to do better for my dad to show worth, right? And it was very interesting. It was very powerful for me because everything my dad did was to prove to his dad that he made it.
Mm-hmm.
So back on
I see
my
that point.
mind, the only thing I always focused on in the beginning, which completely converted, was let me try to be as successful as possible so I could show my dad all his work and everything he did for me accounted for something.
Right.
I really felt if I wasn't a success or if I didn't really do the right thing, he gave up his whole life for me, and my brother. So by me really working that hard, that it gave me gratitude.
Let me ask you this: you think he really cared?
He didn't care. He just wanted me to be happy. Yeah. I didn't know what I knew at the time.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. What I didn't know was relationships mattered over everything. What I didn't know at the time was, working with people that you really like and building something together and building a community is better than anything. We had huge companies where there was so many people in there, and the goal was money, 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 but it shouldn't have been money. It should have been relationships, and what could we do together so our future is even better and brighter. So it's really collaboration. And I think one of my greatest gifts is I really care about people. And I found that out like 20 years ago. And the reason why I've been able to have so many different opportunities is because when I sit down with someone, it's not business. I want to know about you. I want to know how I could help you. And the first thing I always think is if you say, hey, I need to go to a restaurant, or, hey, my buddy needs this, I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking, hey, let me call up my friend, let me give him to Rich, and let me see if I can connect them and help them. And I learned the more you did that, more opportunities came your way.
Right.
And, being a risk taker when I was younger, when an opportunity came, I wasn't scared to jump on it. And I think the difference between people that are successful and not is they don't take the leap of faith, or they don't bet on themselves to do it. They're always telling you why it won't work or what won't work. But the reality is the only reason why it wouldn't work is you didn't do your due diligence before. Yeah. If you work and in the mortgage business and the real estate business, we see so many people that are successful and so many people that aren't. There's one driving factor. It's them.
That's right.
They could say it's the culture. They could say it's this. They could say it's that. But when you look down at what they do every day, they're not doing everything they need to do. They could blame everybody. But if you just put in a little extra work, you could dominate the market.
What do you think, and we talked about this thousands of times probably, why do you think it is that you have a group of people, let's say ourselves, right? And I don't think we're anything special. I think the one thing me and you have in common is we're very key on the relationship. That's the most important. So same thing as you. A lot of people ask me, why you got so many partners? Why you got that? Because again, it's relationships that I'm in with people that I feel that, because of them respecting me, that's my way of respecting them back, and we get into business together. And, I don't think I've ever had a bad partner. I think every single one of them has been, even the ones that I don't have, I think they're still important to me. I still value them. I've never really had a blowout with any of my partners. It's always been one of those things where it's together. Because, again, it's the same thing. We're looking for the opportunity together to grow. But 20 years ago, or whatever years, how long ago it was when you got into the mortgage, why did you go that way instead of the real estate world? Because you had a chance to do both. Now, I know you also buy properties and flip and all that good stuff.
You know what? It's just, it's how people land. A lot of time it's luck, it's timing, and who you look at and who's your mentor. Okay? The person that was doing the mortgages, I respected.
Correct.
So when he said to me I would be good, I said to myself, if he thinks I could be good and he sees something, imagine what I could really do. So it just happened to fall that way. And the one thing I always loved was when I would talk to clients about mortgages, I loved crunching numbers and solving them and working on payments and then telling them why it's good and why it's not good. Yep. And it made me fulfilled. And when they purchased that house and they called you up and they said, thank you very much, that was super satisfying to me. And the one thing, like you said about your partners, what I enjoy most in life is seeing my friends win. What I enjoy most in life is when my buddy calls me up and said, hey, we did it together, right? So sometimes people call me a people pleaser, but I respect my friends so much that if we went out to dinner or if I had a party, my only question I would ask myself is, would I be happy at that party? So I really try to go above and beyond, and I really try to make my friends comfortable. And I think because I did that, you know what? They respected me because it wasn't just about business and it wasn't about money. I really want that to have a vested interest. And openly, I know their family, I know their kids, I talk about their kids. And the one difference is when you show someone you care,
And you're proud
they're
of them.
going to give you that effort.
That's right.
So now if an opportunity comes up and a Rich of the world or myself of the world says, hey, let's talk about it, they take it a lot more serious,
Right.
you know? And once you're in those serious conversations, you have one thought, am I going to invest or not invest?
Right.
But
How many
you-
times have we had those conversations?
Yeah, we've had it a lot.
In the morning, just driving to work, just having them on certain things.
I think that's one of the things I love about you best is we don't judge each other and we just bounce ideas off each other.
Right.
And what you tell me and what I tell you, it's just about how you could win or how I could win. Is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? And the one thing I love is you tell me if an idea is stupid or I tell you, hey,
Sure.
you're thinking about it the wrong way. Because a lot of times when you're the boss, people don't like to tell you, no, it's
Oh,
not a
yeah,
good
no,
idea.
yeah,
You really want that person to say, well, why don't you think about it this way?
Right.
Or maybe let's go that way. And when you could tell somebody that's your superior or someone that's on your level that it's not a good idea, that really means it's a friendship in a way.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Let's discuss.
That's right. So do you have the same issues that I have with that too?
I do.
With people?
I do.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Because you want them to be real.
I want them to be real. I want them to be uplifted, and I want them to work. But the one thing they have to understand, if you've been to 5 companies and you keep blaming the company, you got to look inward and say it's you. I love to give people opportunities and chances in all different fields. But at the end of the day, if they're not doing the work, you know, they have to be accountable to that.
Sort of like me when I'm driving and everybody's a bad driver. That's when I'm usually on the phone with Erica, and she's like, yeah, but I think it's you. That's so, but it's true, though. You know, sometimes you got to look at the mirror because
Yeah.
a lot of it is you at the
A
time.
lot of it is you.
But so let's talk about when you first got into the business. What is it like 20 years ago compared to what it is today? Like, you know,
It was completely different, and I'll tell you why. When you communicated with a client back then, you didn't have a lot of competition. You didn't have a lot of resources against you, meaning if you mailed something to someone and it took 3 to 4 days to get to them, it was acceptable. If I called you today and you didn't call me back in 3 days, that was warranted. You know, that was the way the time was. And if I gave you an opinion, there wasn't a lot of information. You could research that. And everything was done face to face, where you were meeting and you were sitting down with people. So I felt the business was a lot easier years ago because there wasn't as much competition.
okay.
But in that same token, with technology coming on over the years, it made our consumers a lot more savvy. It made our consumers a lot more educated, which really made the business amazing because now they had the same resources and they could really check who they're working with.
So with that being said, right, because that's a good point. I always measure, like, not even success, but I always shoot for me personally. If I'm dealing with a client, I don't sell anymore, obviously, but if I was to, I would always say, you know, my thing would be, what can I give them that they don't know?
Right.
Like what's that one thing that I can honestly tell them that they don't know? And I don't think a lot of people do that today's day and age. You know, what's that? Because there's so much information out there. So how can I really help that client? Is it the same thing you're looking to do with mortgages that I'm doing with real estate, or is it?
It is, you know, and the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The numbers
know?
are the numbers. So how do you do it with mortgages compared to the way I could do it, right? Because I can go in there and tell you, all right, if you move this wall, if you wall, you got this. If you do this, you got this. If you can do this and extend, as long as everything's approved and, you know, with the plans and everything
Right.
like that, I can get away with it. Mortgages, it's just about the numbers, right?
Everyone always thinks it's about the numbers, but I say this to my clients a lot. I want to make the process seamless for you.
Okay.
It's not seamless, but in the back end, we're working hard to crunch a lot of things, but I'm going to show you how smooth and easy it is because that's what I want to show you my professionalism is. But it's not. A lot of people think mortgages are easy. They're
I wouldn't
not.
say that,
They're
yeah.
not.
Yeah, I wouldn't
There's
say
so
that
many
at all.
different products. There's so many different programs.
How do you know all of that?
Well, it's education. You know, Keller is amazing on education. The mortgage industry has not really leveled up to where the real estate industry is in
Okay.
terms of education. And that's one thing we try to help every day. Your agents train on a daily basis. If you sit down with every mortgage company out there, if they're doing one training class a week, that's a lot. And that's the one thing where the educated people and the people that really dive into every product and every program, you're a resource. So what did we do is when a new product comes out, we sit down, we learn about it, we educate ourselves, because just because it's about the numbers, you're busy, Rich. If I could do the same transaction for you, get you an eighth of a point higher, but close the deal in 3 to 5 days, that means a lot more to a busy person than someone that's going to take 3 weeks to a month to close.
Right.
So it really depends on what the client's needs are. So it's about valuing people's time and really communicating.
What do you see, and again, this is, I guess, a loaded question too, what do you see more of, people that are looking to save money or to save time?
I think they want to save money, but they really want to save time. They really want someone that's going to guide them through the process, educate them in a way where they're not wasting time. If they give you documents once, that's what they need. They explain everything, and the process is smooth. Everyone's going to always say, I want the eighth of a point difference. But really, when you go out to dinner, you could get a steak anywhere.
That's right.
Why do you pay more for a steak that has a professional ambiance? It's a better atmosphere. Why? Because the service level is so much higher. If you give high-level service, they're going to be okay with what you do because it's white glove. So everyone always, it's a race to the bottom. In your business, I'm going to cut a point, I'm going to cut another one, I'm going to do it for lower.
Crazy, but it's true.
In our business, it's always a race to the bottom, lower, lower, lower. People aren't looking for lower. They're
not.
looking for transparency.
Right.
They're looking for someone that's going to explain it in a way where it's easy, it's understandable, and they get what they want. And the most important thing is listening, right? If we're not listening to the client and we're over talking them, they're not getting heard. So I think that first conversation with every client is where you spend 30 minutes with them, you talk about everything, and you understand every one of their pain points. And when you said, how can I differentiate? Well, you said my sister's going to buy a house in 3 years, my cousin's going to move into the house, or my daughter's going to go to college. This is why I think this program's better, and this is how we're going to get you those 3 things. So one of the things that I try to do is I try to take mental notes on some of the things that their life's going on. And if you could solve their life problems with a mortgage or a house, that makes it even more powerful.
It's so true, though.
Yeah.
So is the mortgage world the same as mine, where, like, I see really good real estate agents as being the guide to everywhere else, right? So we're the guide to the mortgage, we're the guide to the insurance, we're the guide to this, cars, automobiles. Like, I have literally people calling me up, do you know a guy? You're like that too.
Yeah,
I know
of
you have a
course,
lot of
yeah.
that, right? Because I call you up,
Yeah.
and you got a guy, you got this, right? Is that just a real estate thing or a mortgage thing or just a
I
thing?
think it's in every business thing. If you could keep them in your ecosystem.
And why don't people continue to do what you and I do? Why don't they learn that? To be that.
Everything takes work, right? People always could talk about working, but actually rolling up your sleeves and working, it takes a different human being to really want to do it. And I say this over and over. You could have 2 people in the room. One knows everything, is the smartest person, and should be the best. But if he's not working and you got someone that's mid-tier and does everything consistently, he's going to win over time because he does it. So it's really just putting in the work and what your priority is.
It's just hard over.
Yeah. My
anything else.
priority is that, number 1, my family has a great experience, great life, and great support. Number 2, my clients and my friends, I value them, I listen to them, and I want them to feel safe with me that I'm going to do the right thing for them. If that's what your inner beliefs are, then you're going to roll that into your clients. And what people don't look at is who you are as a person is how you act to your clients as a person.
agree.
If you're not a caring, giving person, if you're not thoughtful, if you don't give your time, you're not going to be like that to your clients. Now, every client doesn't need that type of hand-holding, but you do have to be a chameleon sometimes to see what they need and focus on those pain points.
That's awesome. Let me change you off a little bit, because me and you also strategize, and I always respected this on how you look at today's life as it's going, like, I guess in sales, and you're able to look at other businesses and see their trends, and it actually helps out. It's like, one is the restaurant industry.
The restaurant, what we talked about.
Like, where did you come up with that, learning to do something like that?
So
That's brilliant.
You know what? That's interesting. And I love to talk to people, okay? That's my greatest resource. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a client, when I'm on the plane and I meet somebody, I love to talk to them. I'm not afraid of that. And you don't know where conversations go. I learned in my life, the more people you speak to, the more it opens up your eyes. And I don't, even if it's not my business, if it's nothing I'm ever going to do, if someone calls me up and says, I may open up a dog store and I was thinking about this or that, I still try to help them and apply what I know in my field to how they could do. And when you get that type of interaction, you know what they say? Well, hey, I might be buying this building. You might not be interested in the store, the business, but would you be interested in buying the building with me? So one thing I learned very young when I was in the mortgage business is we never really had a 401k or a retirement plan. So in my mind, every year I said to myself, what can I do to have residual income? So buying a building, investing in a laundromat, investing in different businesses with friends and stuff like that. And every year I had one goal. How can I make more money this year than next year by me not working? People always ask me, Edge, why are you still in the mortgage business? Everything I got was from being in the mortgage business.
Why would he give it up?
Because we hit so many different people. Why do I like to go to hotels? Why do I like to go to sporting events? Why do I like to go to the different things? I like to go to them because I connect with the people there. So I love the event, but I love meeting the people around, and I seize the opportunity. I think that's the most important thing. You may meet someone, I'm not saying you, someone may meet someone, and they have a great idea and say, all right, hey, call me next week, let's talk about it. Do you know how many people don't call them and they forget about it? I'm going to tell you an interesting story. I'm into the casino world, blackjack, hotels, and stuff like that. One of my favorite people I really wanted to meet was John Sarasani, right? So he was a blackjack influencer. He did a lot of stuff, and I followed him on his page. He said he was going to New York, right? And in that post, when he said he was going to New York, he's like, yo, if anyone has any tickets to the Jet game, let me know. You know what we did? We texted him right away.
Absolutely.
We said, hey, bro, we got you.
Got you.
He texted, he's like, what do you mean we got you? So he's like, yeah, why don't you come down? You know, I love what you do online. We're a big fan. Come, it's on us. So he came. I went with my wife. I met him. We kind of talked. 3 days later, I'm out to dinner with him. We're collaborating on maybe doing something down the future.
That's awesome.
That's when you seize opportunities and you attack.
I agree.
I think most people fail because they don't seize opportunities.
Yeah, it's so silly. You know how many people, and I tell this to people now, because again, I'm getting too old not to. It's just like, learn from it. Erica asked me the other day, because again, I'm trying to groom her to, and Julia and Lauren, and you want them to run the business one day. And Erica said to me, which was interesting, she said, the kind of funny with you, she said, you'll go to, you drop off your car in like the parking lot. And she said, and I noticed this, you'll ask the guy if he wants coffee. And she said, if the guy says yes, you'll literally go and get him the coffee and bring it back to him. And why do you do that? Like, you don't have to do that for people. And because they're really in your world. And the thing that bugs me out, it's not only her, it's everyone, is why don't you do that? Like, why? It's common courtesy. Two, the guy's sitting in there for hours. Be that one guy or girl that's going to help him out, because one, I look at it, and this is what I told her. These guys got my car. Whether it's a $10,000 car, a $1,000 car, or a $150,000 car. I don't want them banging the shit into the wall.
No,
right?
100%. But when you were talking about that, you gave me goosebumps because my dad grew up with nothing. Okay,
right.
And I learned in life everyone needs help.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and everyone thinks help is money. That's not true.
Yeah, it's not
help
true.
is, hey, can you help me move my furniture here? Hey, I have a problem. Can you give me some of your time to think about this? When we drive down the street and we see someone out there asking for money, half the people sometimes are disgusted, like, oh my God, I'm not opening the door. I'm going to tell you this. Us going to a cashless society is terrible. Because I always love to have cash in my pocket. So when I see somebody like that,
help them.
I say, here. Okay, because I needed help. My dad needed help. My brother needed help.
We all do, yeah.
Okay, we don't know what they went through. And at the end of the day, when I help anyone even this much, it makes you feel better.
1,000% right.
And honestly, Rich, when you lead from contribution, which you do, which your company does, which I try to do as much as I can, it comes back to you 50-fold.
Without saying.
50-fold. And when they speak about you outside of the room, and that's one thing I'm really proud about myself. when someone asks, what do you think of Angelo Gionis? They say he's a stand-up guy.
At least I
You
I
know?
hope they said that about me too.
You know, his words is bond. You know,
Yeah.
he really cares. And when you have that name, when you walk into a room, you already won.
You did. That's right.
Okay? Because they know you, they hear about you.
That's right.
And one of the things I love
And
to
it's so
do,
easy to get that by just being a stand-up guy,
just by doing a little extra.
by asking a guy if he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
Straight
it
up.
doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you were saying something. I'm sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
no, no. I mean, the only thing I was saying is our biggest resource is our time. And when I call you up and you give me 20 minutes and we could discuss a problem, that shows you truly care about me.
That's right.
You know? And I think people understand if they give people time, when they have an opportunity, they're going to call you back and they're going to repay it.
That's right.
And if you do something for someone and your first reaction is, well, he never did anything for me, you're not doing it for the right reason.
That's right.
You should be doing it because you want to do it.
That's right.
And it comes out that way. And I think that's why people gravitate to you. I think that's why it helped me out in business. And like you said, I don't sleep much, right? We talk about that a lot.
Right.
I always think about different things in different ways. And I really want to maximize my life. And, you know, we had this
For sure,
conversation, and I don't mind sharing it. You know, my mom passed away 9 years ago already. When my mom passed away, it changed my life forever.
Same with
It
me.
changed my life in a way to say, I need to appreciate everything I do. I appreciated the work. I appreciated the building. I appreciated the growing. But I did the same thing my dad did. You know what that was? I worked from 8 a.m. to like 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't have enough family time.
That's right.
So I changed the dial, and ever since then, my family time went through the roof,
That's awesome.
you know?
And it's better.
And it's better,
Yeah.
you know?
I wish I learned that a little earlier in life too.
We all could do that
know,
starting today and going forward.
That's right.
You know?
Because again, it's important to be there, especially for your kids and everybody. And sometimes because they don't realize what you're doing.
They don't realize what you're
And
doing.
that's okay too, you know. But they will one day.
Yeah.
And when they do, they'll be like, "Fuck." You know? Yeah.
But I got to say this. I got to say a rich story, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in your world knows you as the boss, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? The big cheese,
Yeah,
right?
I wish. Yeah.
And the one thing I always say is you don't realize what a teddy bear you are. Okay? You don't realize what a great person you are to communicate, to give time to. Like everyone sees you on a professional side. I see you on a personal side.
Yep.
And when I see you on the personal side, and we're just talking about hockey, we're talking about, you know, different ideas, different thoughts, it really shows that you give time to everybody and you really make them feel important. And I think one of your best characteristics among a lot is you make people belong. You make people want to be around you. And when they see you, they see opportunity, right? Not in a negative way, oh, we're gonna see opportunity to grow and build together, and you give a lot of people opportunity. And that's the one thing I love.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Tell
I really
Julia
do.
that because she's
You
probably
hear that,
sitting there
Julia?
going, so,
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to be around me. So, so-
Not that there's ups and down days. We all have those, but
but
really,
I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
that's nicely said. Thank you for that. I really do try. I really,
Yeah.
again, because like you said earlier, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't get help. You know, one of the people that helped me was my aunt.
Yeah,
She
no,
came
you told
out,
me
she
the
got me into
stories.
this, and
Yeah.
so I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate my kids. They helped me. Like sometimes people know this. Like even here, like the only person that would really tell me sometimes that you're doing wrong is my kids.
Right.
Like they have no problem.
No filter.
No filter whatsoever.
Yeah.
Dad, you were horrible.
Right.
So, and you appreciate that
Yeah.
stuff because it's real. You know, and that's the only way you can grow too.
yeah, true.
You got to
true.
learn, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and thank you for saying that. Was very nice of you.
But in terms of 2026,
Yeah.
I think our business is going to be amazing.
So I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Like, how's it been the last couple of years in your world?
The last 2 years were probably the toughest in the industry for a long time, back from 05 and 06. I mean, we were coming
What was
off.
worse?
I think this was worse. You want to know why? Because we were coming off the best years of mortgage originations.
sense. So-
Okay? So
Yep.
during COVID, best years. Now, if you don't know how to budget, if you don't know how to manage your money, you're going 2 years of having record earnings. So you know what you're doing. You're buying more, you're spending more, you might not be saving more. And to have the industry
What's
kind
an
of
extra
just
Rolex?
stop,
What's-
exactly.
yeah.
You know, have it stop, it hurts so many people because they don't manage their money and their budgets well. one thing about, myself, my brother, my mom and dad is they always showed us what we needed to do and how we needed to manage. I'm not saying I don't live life. I live life,
Yes, you
but
do.
I live in a way where even if it didn't work out, I have reserves, I have retirements, and I put myself in a position where I'm not risking myself. I think what happened with a lot of people is they lived month to month, check to check, and when your checks went from 50,000 to 20,000 to 5,000,
Hurt.
how can you adapt because you got used to something so long? Just like COVID, right? Everyone got used to working at the house. Okay, it changed people's mindset, it changed people's psyche. And if you're an older person in your 40s and 50s, to have 2 years of not going back to work and you think you could just go back in, you're programmed differently. If you're younger, you have the ability to adapt.
Right.
So the reason I felt this was tougher is because everyone was coming off such a high in terms of income and they didn't have to work that hard.
So
Rich,
true.
they didn't have to work that hard.
Especially in our world.
In our world, when you're refinancing, 2 and 3% over and over again, it's easy. And I have to preface this: we're blessed. We work in an industry, both of us, where you use your mind and you use your intellect and your stuff. My dad was a painter. He worked every morning from 6 a.m. till 9 o'clock at night,
Logan
working
Mills.
his ass off.
Right.
So I never say I have it tough. I never do. But in that same token, you have to respect your job, you have to respect your time, and you have to do the things you need to do.
Right. And so what was the years? 06, 08? What was it?
05, 06, really 06 and 07.
06 and 07.
And then the last year and a half, really, the last 2 years were rough, but the last, 6 months was amazing.
I thought they were pretty good the last few.
Yeah.
So when you came off of that, what was it like coming out of that compared to what because I think here, and I could be dead wrong, because this is something that we never seen before, right? We could both say that.
Okay.
We've been in the industry long enough, both of us, where we could sit here and go, we've seen pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Except for this.
Right.
Right? This was unseen, I
Unseen,
think, right?
correct.
Something just clicked and it was
Right.
over and bang. Coming out of it, what do you think that looks like compared to 06?
Okay.
Right?
This is my thought. The average loan officer is 48 to 50 years old.
Okay.
So when you're coming off of this, you're in a different stage of life, okay? I think in 05 and 06, the average loan officer was about 32.
That's interesting.
So they still had to build. They still had to put their focus on work 100%. And I don't say this disrespectfully.
It's the same group, too.
Yeah, same group of people. So when we rebounded off of this, I'm 50. I'm just giving an example of someone. I have my 3 kids. I'm set. I made a ton of money. Now I have to work harder. You have to make a decision. Do I really want to do this, or am I okay where I am? And if you're okay where you are,
Fine.
no,
God bless.
that's fine. But if you still need to work, you still need to grind, you got to program a 48, 50-year-old to go out to networking events, go do open houses, go do the things you took for granted
Right.
because everything was coming to you so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the difference was the age of the group of people that were involved were older, and they didn't really need to work as hard, or if they did, they didn't know how anymore because it took a lot more effort, which they weren't willing to do.
Wow. So do you think this is going to be an upswing?
I think it's going to be an upswing.
And do you think it's the same thing as the real estate? Well, I think the one thing that this did for us was
Cleaned it out.
cleaned out the industry, and what else it did was the guys that work took a lot of the business.
Yep.
You see them giving it up,
Yep.
and that's the $1 million question right now. All those saying as business comes on, is it going to be the top people that are still getting it,
I
or
do.
you think it's going to be given up? And,
I don't. What I see is I see the top teams building and adding people to their team.
Yep.
I see the individual people. Look, if you're an individual agent, you got to do so many different tasks. You got to show the property. You got to show the buyer. You got to put the listing up. You got to market. You got to try to do an event. You got to try to put it in the CRM. AI and automations helped a lot, but I think we all learned one thing. Alone, you go so far, but when you're with a team, you could do so much more, right? Same with a company and same with everything else. So what I see if my son said to me, I want to work in real estate, I would have him go to Keller Williams. You guys have amazing training. You guys have everything he needs to do. I would put him on a team that needs him to do all the basic tasks: open house, telemarketing each day, showing up at events early, picking up sign-ins, whatever the case may be, because the people that know how to hustle and grind will make money in any industry.
Right.
Okay? The people that, hey, it comes to me this and that, and they don't do it sporadically, if it's dry, it's dry. Now, one thing always supersedes this, and we talk about it: if you have money and you could invest in leads or different platforms where stuff could come in, that's still going to bring you business. But if you don't know how to work that business and call that business, it doesn't matter. But money does facilitate a different level and a different scale, because you could kind of buy the market in a way to give you more leads, more opportunities. If you're not going to work them, you're still not going to be successful. But I really feel this year the rates are coming down. I feel that wholeheartedly. I think the rates are going to be in the low 5s, high 4s.
Wow.
I really do. That's my opinion. We're setting up on that fact. I'm betting as much as I could bet inside of Contour to build a platform around the fact that the rates are going to be 5.25 to low to high 4s. What does that mean? More refinances. What does it mean? More lines of credit. What does it mean? More investment opportunities, because they're going to debt service better. I believe that. I think we have a little bit of pain, but openly, I'm banking on the fact that when Powell is out, we're going to have someone that's going to be in a position to work in a way that is going to help the real estate market. I'm betting on that. That's my thought process, and the mortgage market. That's what Trump said, and everything he says, he tries to do.
Okay.
So for myself, preparing for that is we're opening up a call center. We have a great call center. We're calling tons of leads. We're reaching out to our borrowers. We're letting everyone know they have a lot of equity in their homes. And I think this is the hidden thing that a lot of realtors need to do. They had 50 transactions last year. If any of their clients put 20% more down on the property, they should be calling them with different investment opportunities. Why? Because they have equity in the home to take out as a HELOC to buy that investment opportunity. So when I talk to my partners, I'm like, where's your database from last year? Okay. How many put at least 20% down? What was the house price? $800,000. Okay. They have a minimum of $105,000. Right. Can you find them something? Doesn't just have to be in New York, where if they put that 120 down, that they could get a good return, and it's worth them to do it. Now you have a second opportunity to talk to them.
And I love the way you share that.
Yeah.
So,
if we could conclude on one thing, it's about experiences.
Right.
One person always asks me, Andrew, why do you always do as much as you can in a day? Because you never know when your day's
tomorrow
done.
might not be there.
You never know.
That's right.
So when they ask me that, I say, well, why aren't you?
That's right.
I experience life through moments and through opportunities. So when I go somewhere new, I love just seeing what's around there. But I don't just like the culture, I love the people.
That's right.
And when I talk to people, guess what happens, Rich? Opportunities come.
1,000%. And
So
let's leave it on that.
what are we doing together this year?